Attention, due to the nature of the films discussed, the Civil Gore podcast may contain adult language and themes.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 120 of the Civil Gore podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we are fresh off of our first ever collaboration episode, which we got a lot of positive feedback on. So that was really good.
Yeah, that was a really fun episode. And I am not freshly awake because this time change just completely wrecked me, Brian. I don't know why, because this is supposedly the good time change where you gain an hour, and it, for some reason, it has completely messed me up. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, well, I'm still recovering. I had a fun scotch tasting at my cousin's house on Saturday night, which left me hungover. So I got a bad start on Sunday. So when I finally caught up, I needed that extra hour, but yet, since I kind of dozed off a little on Sunday late afternoon, it threw me completely off, and I ended up waking up basically losing that hour again today because I woke up based on the time that I would have normally gotten up, so I didn't even get the benefit of that hour. So, yeah, this should be an interesting episode.
Yeah, I don't like it turning dark at 5 o'clock. I know that.
No, I don't like that.
That's rough. All right, well, let's get right into it, I guess. This is our first chop. All right, Brian, so I'm back to my 40 years of terror project. This year was 1988, and I chose one again that was off of that 1,000 horror movies list. And the reason I like these lists is because I get to watch movies that I would have never, ever run across before if I didn't have some reason to watch them off of one of these lists. And this is another one that I watched off that Criterion Channel streaming network, which really has some fantastic movies on it, by the way. I don't know if I'm going to subscribe to it because it's kind of an investment. I think it's fairly expensive.
Isn't it like one of those like $15 a month?
Yeah, it's like $14.99, which is a little steep for me for a streaming channel when I have so much other stuff to watch. But
Plus, it's been Disney Plus coming out.
Yeah. But it's been great for this project because you get to see these films you can't see otherwise. So it was a really good bargain in that sense versus trying to go find it to rent. So the one I watched this week was called The Vanishing from 1988. So this is a Dutch-French-English movie. It is...
Dutch-Frenglish.
Yeah, Dutch-Frenglish. It is subtitled. But it is... I would not classify this one necessarily as horror, but more on the thriller side. But I will say, because it has to do with something that could happen in real life, it's probably scarier than most horror movies I've ever seen. And it's about a man who is taking his girlfriend on a bike tour through France, and they stop at a little roadside, convenience travel stop type place. And she goes in to get some coffee, and she never comes back. And truly, living up to the title, she vanishes off the face of the earth.
Must have been a good cup of coffee,
Yeah, he can't find her anywhere. So he proceeds to look for her, can't find her, gets more and more frantic, and as the movie plays out, we start to see his obsession with finding out what happened to her, and he has no answers. But as the movie progresses, we do start to get answers, and of course... this being a horror/thriller film, those answers are not pleasant. So it slowly kind of reveals things to the viewer and gets into the mind of not only the victims, somebody disappearing like that, but also maybe the perpetrator. So really, really tense movie. Again, like I said, plays out very slowly, doles out the facts very slowly, but it's definitely worth it for all the payoff. So I would highly recommend The Vanishing from 1988. It's a really, really good, kind of a true crime feel story of something that could really happen and is really, really frightening because of it.
Yeah, those are always like, movies have done things like that, and it is truly, you ever just lose someone even for like a few minutes? Where you're just I remember there's one time, I swear, where I mean, you have kids, so it's probably,
Yeah.
like a truly terrifying prospect. But I remember just one time, Julie and I it was one of our visits to New York. I think it was her first time she came in for the holidays when we were still dating. She was living out in California. And, I mean, it's hysterical now to think of this, but we were at Bloomingdale's, and we did not realize how bad the cell reception was in there. So I went down. I said, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go to the bathroom. She goes, okay, I'll be on this floor. Well, when I got down to the bathroom, in an unusual fashion, the men's room had a line out the door. And I'm like, what's going on? So I ended up spending like 20 minutes waiting online just to go to the bathroom. So by that point, I decided to text Julie. I said, okay, well, this is going to be a while. So, let me know where to meet you. So didn't hear from her. So I finally went in, came back out, went up to where she was. She wasn't there. So I said, huh. So then as I moved over, I guess eventually the text got through and it said, oh, I'm at this floor. So I went there. And basically this went on for about an hour of us literally texting each other back and forth. I swear to God, I was like, I'm never going to see her again. That's it. We are never going to see each other again. That's it. I'm going to have to call her parents and say she's been swallowed up by Bloomingdale's at the holidays. And it was hilarious because literally it was like 10 minutes we were off. Finally, I think we decided to say, I think one of us figured out to put a time and say like a half hour from this point, say, wait here until this point at the escalator, and then we finally found each other. So it was kind of funny, but that split moment when you can't find someone, you're like, it gets a little nerve-wracking,
Yeah, and it's so much nicer these days because you actually have cell phones. Of course, back in the 80s, you didn't have that.
Right,
so
right. Back then, you really had nothing.
You really were screwed. But it also reminds me, and Ken will enjoy this, was the time we lost Olivia, basically, and he had to help me try to go find her because she wasn't answering her phone. And she was basically had gone off with a friend. The friend texted me and said she was on her way home and she never arrived. So that was
I remember that, right?
Yeah.
And her phone died and she was getting a cup of coffee or something, right?
Yeah, she decided she was going to go get a cup of coffee and her phone was dead. Oh, man. Talk about scared. It was like, it's one of those things you always just, your mind is not trying to go there, but it's going there anyway.
Right. Well, after because you always say like, oh, okay, you're gonna get nervous, but then it's gonna always end up being right. But you'll be, everything will be fine. But then there's that fleeting moment where it's like, well, wait a minute. Everyone says that until that one time where something happens. And it's like it's truly, truly traumatizing.
All right, next up, I watched a bunch of other movies. Again, this is not for any kind of challenge. This is just me watching movies because I'm knocking off that $1,000. It's not that. There's no monetary reward for doing this. It's all work.
You may spend $1,000 with the Criterion thing.
Yeah, 1,000 movie lists. So I watched one I've been meaning to watch forever, and that is Eraserhead, 1977.
What a classic.
David Lynch's classic. I've never seen this movie. And I don't know why. It's just, it's one of those things you always, one day I need to watch Eraserhead. I just never do it. And wow, it's not at all what I expected. And I was expecting pretty weird from David Lynch. And it even surpassed those. I don't know what to think of this movie at all. I would have to watch it again to really possibly appreciate it, but I don't know if I want to watch it again. So
yeah, I haven't seen it in a while, but I do own it, and it's one of those I need to revisit one day. I mean, maybe that. I mean, at some level, that almost might make its own summer slaycation at some way down the road. Just the films of David Lynch could be, because we're gonna at some point. I know we have plenty on the docket. I mean, we have enough summer slaycations probably for the next 10 years. But at one point, God willing, if our podcast goes this long, we will have to start getting a little creative. I think with the slaycations, and so we may do the films of so and so as the summer slaycation. I mean, I know we have a couple of full summer slaycations lined up. Where we have the whole summer is packed with one big series. I think we have two we decided that could be in there. So I mean, it's So but that's one that would be it because he's such a great filmmaker and he's got such a unique style to his things. But yet, like you said, I think sometimes he could even shock the most ardent of fans.
Well, it was interesting because I started reading about the movie after I watched it, and I realized there's still not a whole lot of answers. He's so cryptic about everything about this movie that we still don't really know a whole lot about it.
No, and he does it all the time. Still to this day, he makes these cryptic tweets about if Twin Peaks is coming back, and he'll flat out go tell you first no, but then he'll send like a little screenshot of something like, "Oh, what's this?" And he'll show a picture of like the cafe or something, and I'll be like, "You bastard! What are you doing to me? You know I want another season." You know.
I'm not going to say anything else about Eraserhead. I think you guys just need to go watch it. It's
that's
else.
A film we should actually do at some point.
It might be, yeah. That one I might wait to do because I really would like to watch it again with a critical eye instead of just for entertainment. And then the next one I watched, this one I really liked, and it is completely insane in a different way. I mean, Eraserhead's insane in a creepy David Lynch way. House is insane in a completely other different way. This is a Japanese movie from 1977, not to be confused with the 1980s House.
When you first said that, I'm like, what? And I looked at it, I'm like, I thought House came out a lot later.
Yeah, no. This one is definitely not that one, but it is kind of a
William
horror
Cat?
comedy. No William Cat. There is a cat, though. There's a Persian cat. And it's about this young Japanese girl who goes to visit her aunt, and she brings along 6 of her schoolgirl friends. And this house turns out to be very strange and somewhat haunted. And I don't know how to describe this movie. Brian, this is another one we may just have to do at one point. It's there are scenes of complete horror, but they're juxtaposed with scenes of almost like a sitcom level comedy, and it is just completely bonkers. I can't. I'm having trouble even articulating how weirdly weird this movie is. And I found out, I was reading a little bit of trivia about it. So apparently the director's daughter, who was 10 years old at the time, gave him a lot of the ideas for some of the scenes in this. So essentially this movie was co-written by a 10-year-old, is what the trivia says. And you can tell because it has these bizarre scenes that would have never been in any other movie outside the mind of a 10-year-old who didn't know any better. So I can't recommend this movie enough. It is completely batshit crazy.
And this was on your Criterion one?
This was on the Criterion one. You need to watch this one. This one would be fantastic for I was just thinking, I was like, where could I show this to somebody? I really want to have a viewing party.
If only I had a podcast.
Yeah. I really want to a viewing party for this thing because it is really out there. I loved it. I thought it was insane.
Now you want me? Now I feel like I need to get this Criterion thing as a trial, so I could.
Well, they have a really good. I mean, they got a 14-day trial, which is pretty good. So it's definitely worth. I'm trying to finish all these movies before I have to pay for it, but I may end up paying for a month just to get them all in because there are some really good movies on there. But that one's definitely on there. I might get the. I actually may buy this one because this has a really good Criterion version.
Oh, okay.
Of the physical disc, so I may have to get this one because it's just so unique.
Just to let everybody know, I looked on Just Watch. You can get it on Prime you can rent it on Prime for $2.99 too. So if you don't want to get the whole Criterion thing like Tim did, you can get just you can just rent the movie itself. So
yeah, that's well worth $3 for sure. Next up, a couple from the 40s, 1943 to be exact. I Walked with a Zombie. Now, keep in mind, when we see I Walked with a Zombie, our minds instantly go to, our traditional Night of the Living Dead zombies. But 1943, that didn't exist. What you got in 1943 was the actual Haitian voodoo zombie.
Oh,
and so this was about this nurse that she's hired to take care of this woman who's basically in a zombie-like state. She, according to her husband, she got some kind of fever and went into this basically a sleepwalking trance type state where she kind of sleepwalks at night. Very creepy. And of course there's a lot of voodoo rituals and stuff that she gets mixed up in, and you learn all the truth about how she got that way. Really cool movie. I like this one a lot. Has a kind of a very creepy vibe to it, and if you're tired of the typical zombie movies, I think it's a really neat look at what zombies were like before Night of the Living Dead, when it was more based on the traditional voodoo folklore type zombie. So that one was really cool. I like that one a lot. And it's very short. I think it's only tops just a little over an hour. So it's very, very quick watch. And the other quick watch I watched was The Leopard Man from 1943. Yeah. This one is about a leopard that escapes and kills somebody, and bodies start turning up, supposedly killed by this missing leopard, but we find out it may not be a leopard at all that's killing him. It may be an actual serial killer. And this one was kind of interesting because I was reading, again, a little bit about this one, and they said it's one of the first times on film where they basically a serial killer story. Because that term was not known back in the 40s either. And they make reference to it. They go, oh, yeah, like Jack the Ripper or so. I mean, they knew who Jack the Ripper was. But other than that, you didn't really see serial killers in movies. So that was kind of an interesting bit of background. So when you go to watch this, if you kind of know that in your mind, it's kind of an interesting piece of film history to see that. Pretty entertaining. I think I walked with a zombie more because it was more of a supernatural horror element. But this one was kind of interesting from an early serial killer perspective. I thought that was kind of neat.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I actually watched a couple of things, believe it or not, other than the horror challenge. And one of them was, I feel bad, I recommended this one to Ken, and he did not care for this. But I actually thought it was really good. But I don't know why I thought it was so good. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I do know why I thought it was so good, because I kind of like these style of movies. And this one was called The Pool. It's from 2018. I guess it's from Thailand. And it's kind of, think the movie Frozen, Adam Green's Frozen, not Let It Go Frozen. So it's basically about this guy, and eventually a couple gets caught in a pool that is completely drained. It's one of those Olympic-sized pools, so it's not like a 10-foot pool. It's like, looks like it's 20 feet deep at this point. And so basically they get caught in there, and then they get joined by a giant crocodile. So, but what I think I loved about this thing is it's like one of those things where it's like I found myself literally sitting there going, are you kidding me? Now things that keep happening in this movie are just so unbelievable, but yet you're just like, holy cow. It's like, to me, that's what kept me engaged, because I'm like, I got to see what happens next. And it was, sure, there's some hokey drama in it and some cheesy dialogue, subtitled, of course. It is subtitled. But, it was just like there was some cheesy elements to it, but it was just like you could not believe just like everything that kept happening. And just like there's some cringing gore moments. There's just some there's almost some dare I say, chuckle, because you're just like, you got to be kidding me. This guy's luck, It's like, but I don't know. I don't know. I want you to see it and see what you think. It's on Prime, so I may
have to break the tie here.
Yeah, you could break the tie. I could see you kind of falling in the middle. You may not like it as much as me. I don't think you'll hate it like Ken, though. Okay. I think you'll get some stuff out of it like I did. And it was and I was telling a couple of people at work, and even Julie, I'm like, but I told Julie, I think Julie can't watch this. She can't watch movies where there's just where people do stupid things and then lead to ridiculous situations. So I kind of told her, I'm like, yeah, you can't see this because you'll just get so frustrated. But it's not, and not that it's all the guy making stupid decisions. It's just there's stupid situations that develop, and it's just one craziness after another. And it's to me, I don't know. I like those kind of movies. So I thought it was really good. But and next one I finally sat down and watched MIDSOMMAR or MIDSOMMAR, depending you want to go ahead. And I don't know. I may have an unpopular opinion here, but I think it was really overrated.
Oh, you disagree with me?
Yeah, you know what it is? I don't think it was as original as a lot of people were saying it was. And I saw someone, and I was like, I said, why does this seem a little familiar to me? And I saw someone say, oh, it reminds him of The Wicker Man, and I'm like, you know what? Yes, it does a lot. Now, I will say, Florence Pugh is amazing, and I think she was the main reason why I sat through the whole thing, because I thought she was incredible. Every scene she was in, And I think anything I've seen her in so far, I've liked because I think she's that good. I don't know. I just think some of the, I don't know what it was. I just didn't think it was like, I mean, I never got like, I'll say bored through it, but I don't know. Nothing shocked me in it. And I was expecting to be shocked.
Yeah, maybe that was, and I went in, maybe you had too high of expectations because I went in not really knowing anything and not really having any expectation one way or the other. In fact, I think maybe I leaned more towards the opposite. I thought it was going to be terrible. I definitely see the Wicker Man connection, although to me, it felt more like kind of an update of that Wicker Man story. I didn't see it so much as kind of a knockoff as more of an homage to the Wicker Man, but.
Well, yeah, no, it could have been, but I mean, all I heard was, a lot of people were saying, how, oh my God, he's a genius, Ari Aster, and this and this, and I loved Hereditary, but I don't know. I just thought maybe my expectations I set too high for this.
Yeah,
and that could be. I mean, I'd give it another shot and watch it again, and I did watch the original cut. It wasn't the director's cut, but I read a lot of things about the director's cut saying that it's just a couple of mostly some extended scenes. Mm-hmm. So, but I will say a lot of the performances were really good. I definitely, like I said, like Florence Pugh is, and Paul had told me about that when he saw it. He said Florence Pugh is so amazing in this, and I think she made the movie for me, like really, like that's what kind of engaged me in the movie is that I liked her character a lot.
Yeah, she's definitely the best part of the movie for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and I can't say enough good things about her. I mean, I thought it was Jack Rayner, right? I mean, he was okay, but I mean, I think, and there were just some like, I don't know, sequences that were like really slow. And I don't have a problem with a slow burn movie. As we both love The Witch. Mm-hmm. I love The Witch and I love that. I don't know. It's just something like, I think I was waiting to be completely like shocked. And I wasn't ever, and that's what I think was. I think maybe I was looking for something that was never supposed to be there. I don't know, and I know it's an unpopular opinion because I know a lot of people love this movie.
I don't know that it's unpopular. I mean, that was a very polarizing movie.
Oh, so, there was people.
Yeah.
That
there was a lot of people that didn't like it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, but I don't want to. I'm not. It's not. I know I saw some negative reviews and they were like, oh, it's slow, it crawled. That's not what it was for me. I don't mind that kind of a movie. I don't know. I expected something much different. Like I expected something completely 100% original, because, and they're, and I'm not trying to knock Ari Aster because I think he's a great director, but I don't, I don't know. I just think maybe, because of Hereditary, he gets kind of not a free pass, but he definitely gets he gets kind of like what's the word? He gets some leniency. To is maybe the right word. So I don't know. I mean, I'd watch it again. I wouldn't, because maybe it's certain things are. Sometimes you'll see a movie and sometimes you have to watch it that second time because if you go in with some kind of predisposed expectation. No matter how hard you try and knock it out of your head, it's still in there. So maybe that was it. And like I said, I enjoyed Florence Pugh's performance so much that I could definitely watch her again in it. So, I don't know. I would definitely give it a shot. But like at first viewing, I have to say I was disappointed. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like me with Haunt. I'm still working my way through my second watch of that one because I got to figure out where I stand on that movie. But I didn't like it the first time, even though everybody said it was fantastic, and now
I was more with you on it. I was not. I just thought there was a lot of it looked like it took like a lot of elements from a lot of other haunt type movies and just threw them all in there and tried to call itself original. And I don't know. I gotta get annoyed when movies do that. Now, granted, I don't know if that was their intention. Like they may have wanted all those things in, like you said with Midsommar. Maybe they wanted to do an homage to all these haunt movies. I just thought like the way it went and the weird twist at the towards the middle to the end of that movie. I'm just like, what's? It's like okay, it looks like it's part escape room, part Saw, part this haunt movie, part that haunt movie. Yeah.
I'm about halfway through the rewatch. I'm sorry, I haven't completely rewatched the whole thing, but I did like it more, I will say, the second time around. But I don't know if that's going to hold true for the entire movie, so we'll see.
I mean, there's some good gore sequences. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, there's some good stuff, but some of the stuff, just like I said, that one may be one we just have to sit down and do, so that we can really discuss it in depth. Because there's some things I really want to talk about. Certain things that made. I would really like to hear other people's opinions on it.
Yeah,
so.
No, I mean, we could put that. I mean, we don't have a movie for next week. We could make it that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because that one's one we need to chew through a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, now I went into it. Remember, now I did that for the horror challenge, and we'll get to that coming up, our recap. I had that on there, and I went into it with knowing how you felt about it, so I was kind of, my expectations were low. So the fact that it stayed low after seeing it is kind of telling. So as you know, as you could see by like Midsommar, my expectations could play a big factor in how I like a movie.
Yeah.
So we'll that's actually, maybe we should pick that for next week and just kind of get it out there, like just rip the Band-Aid off on this thing.
Exactly. Figure it out.
And either decide if we like it or we don't like it and whatever.
All right, so you did watch a short, I see.
Yeah, they someone had sent us this, the link to this, and it was called, I hope I don't butcher this, Duermete Niño, and it was by Freddy Chavez Olmos, and it was a really cool short, based off of, it looked like it was it was supposedly the older times when it was, I guess, the first ever baby monitor kind of thing, and so it was just a quick short film about how this mother keeps hearing these things on the baby monitor and it's freaking out. And that's all I'll say, because it's a short, number one. It's less than 10 minutes. I don't really want to give any things away in it. I just thought it was really good. The visuals were really cool in it. Thought that just the overall like feeling of it was pretty good. I think you would really like it.
Cool.
So, and it
I'll
was
check
on,
that one out.
it's, the link is in our email. Actually, you can go see it. So it's linked right onto Vimeo. So it's easy peasy to watch that. So,
all right, Brian, I'm gonna skip to the other two, so we can save the Civil Gore horror movie challenge wrap up for the final. Tell me about the Creepitus trailer. I like the title, Creepitus.
Well, yeah. Now I really not sure what the movie's about by the trailer. It just. Hence the title. It was super creepy. And I found it while looking at some of the trailers for tonight's Discmemberment, and it was in one of those, I was on YouTube, and in there it was called Creepitus, and it had this face that was like terrifying. And I'm like, I gotta see this trailer now. And I watched it, and the trailer was definitely really creepy. I want you to see that trailer at some point. I almost texted you and said, Tim, you gotta watch this trailer before the show, just to see what you think, but definitely watch it, and then like let me know what you think about it, because it just looks like I definitely want to see that movie. It's coming out this year at some point, so definitely one I'm going to keep an eye out for when it comes out, because the trailer just had this really super creepy imagery in it that makes me want to see it.
All right, and then finally, we wrapped up Creepshow with episode 6. I actually finally caught up to I was like 3 episodes behind, shame on me, but I did finally catch up to all of them, so I did get to watch the final episode, which is really good. I mean, I will have to say, I loved the whole series, and I thought it's fantastic anthology. I don't think it really captures the feel of like the original Creepshow very much. I mean, there's a few sequences that do. Overall, I think it's a great horror anthology. I just don't know if it feels like Creepshow to me, but that's not a knock on the series, because I really, really, really liked it.
See, I thought it did in the beginning. Later on, I mean, the first couple episodes I think had the Creepshow feel. Whatever it is, though, I love it. So I want to, and it's obviously already got renewed for the second season. So we're definitely getting another season of it, which is awesome. But I thought this was the biggest Tim one ever. That second, the Lake Champlain one.
Yeah, that one was fantastic. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was the biggest Tim one ever.
Because I love my Loch Ness Monster.
Yes, stuff. And that was like...
Well, that was not Loch Ness Monster, but close.
It was,
close enough.
It was chompy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was really good episode, I thought. I mean, probably predictable, but I didn't care. I just loved every second of it. Now, the young actress that was the lead girl in that was pretty good. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything. She kind of just came out of nowhere, as far as I know, but she was really good.
She was really good. I mean, The one knock I had on the series watching them all back to back, because I literally watched 3 episodes back to back, was you do start to get some of that sameness that you saw. I mean, you saw that even with Twilight Zone. You start getting predictable, like, oh, okay, this person's doing something bad, and there's going to get revenge, and something's going to get revenge on them. And again, I can't really knock the show because it's based off those comics, and those comics were very formulaic, and they all had that revenge plot to them. So I'm not really knocking it for that reason. I'm just saying it's very apparent when you start watching it back that some of these do get a little predictable, but that's okay because there's still a lot of fun. And
oh my God,
I liked all the monsters and the effects and stuff. And I will have to say it, for an anthology, this one's much more like monster heavy.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, there was a lot of cool monster episodes in there, you know. So
I really, really like that because you didn't get to see that. You know, Tales from the Crypt was mostly, you know, was tended to be more, almost more like a true crime type revenge tales and stuff, where this one's more heavily supernatural. Not that there weren't a lot of supernatural elements in Tales from the Crypt, but you did have a lot of episodes in there that were also just, you know, people doing bad stuff to other people. Whereas,
right, it was all that. It was like people and people. Yeah, it's like people's is people's.
Yeah,
like that guy.
Yeah, so I did one thing I really liked about Creepshow is that you had a lot of supernatural elements and a lot of monster elements, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, so let's get to our Civil Gore Horror Movie Challenge wrap-up. We're not going to go through all the movies because we've posted them out. I don't think I've actually posted my final list. I can go ahead and do that on social media. For what I ended up watching 38 films in October, and many of them I've already talked about on the show, but we thought we would go through and just kind of highlight our best, like our biggest undiscovered gem that we loved, our worst, and maybe a couple of our favorites. So, Brian, you want to start us off?
Sure. So, I will say, so some of the ones, like I may have mentioned this already. We've done little mini recaps, but I want to give some of the ones that I really, really loved. I think I will say, out of the entire series, out of the 31 films that I watched for this, I think my favorite still I'm gonna go down as saying is Tigers Are Not Afraid, which was just, it still sticks with me just thinking of it. That's how good it was. And you gotta see this movie because it's just something about it it was so gripping and just so well done that it's like that's one of those ones where it could have easily disappointed me by the constant accolades and praise it got. And so I went in expecting this to blow me away, and it exceeded it. So that's, to me, so that's a rarity, I think, for me. And so that's why I just, Issa Lopez did such an amazing job. And it's mostly kids are the main cast, and they are phenomenal, every one of them. So, and to get such a great performance out of they always joke with the kids in film. They're one of the kids and animals, right? They're the most difficult. Well, she must have handpicked the best group of kids ever. I mean, they're all good in this. It's just, and it's so like it really like just grabs you. It does, and it holds you in there. I can't wait till you see this because I'm interested in discussing that with you. I mean, that's one I'd like to do actually a deep dive on too one time.
Nice.
So I think that was really good. Some of the ones that are classics that I just never got around to seeing, which I like Inferno by Dario Argento. I don't know if have you seen that one?
I can't remember if I've seen that one or not.
So that's the one where they're looking. It's like there's this book by the three mothers, and it's like I guess this woman is like searching for this, and her brother comes looking for her in this old apartment building in New York City.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, you got to watch that one. It's really good. That's the one I use for my Concrete Jungles Where Screams Are Made Of objective. Just really great, like classic Argento in this one, and I mean it's just some like great imagery, like that, just that like. That kind of style he has, and just I don't know, something about that one I really loved, and that one stuck with me too. I think The Furies, which I saw, that was my second to last movie. That's another one I suggested to and Ken watch that one. That one he loved. That's like this. It's a slasher, but like almost it's a crazy style of slasher movie. It's almost like if The Hunger Games or something like that was a slasher movie. It was like that, and that one got a lot of cool like press on it. I remember seeing that when Shudder got it. So when I watched it, like I had that one to get to, and again, the lead actress in that, she was just phenomenal too. And it was one of those ones where it could have been just like you could have laughed it off, but something about her performance. Her name is Airlie Dodds. It could have just been, if she was bad in it, this movie would have made a huge turn into like a cheese fest, but it wasn't. It was just so well done, and it really has just got this weird, cool like vibe to it. The whole movie. I think you would really like that one too.
Yeah.
So that one was another classic. I think I saw in this. I loved. Abominable. We finally got to watch that.
That was good, yeah.
With our good buddy Tiffany Shepis, of course. Makes a role in that, and Matt McCoy, of course, is hilarious in that. And there's a couple of little funny nods into it. There's even a Breakfast Club nod, which is kind of funny. Another one I saw that was kind of came out of nowhere, but it was for the Shudder to Think of It bonus, and Shudder to Think of It, one of the originals. I watched Christmas Presents, which is kind of a holiday supernaturally type of movie, which was really good too. It was another one that I just did not expect much out of, but turned out I really, really enjoyed it. So that was another good one. I mean, I'll say, another one I never had watched before, and always should have watched it, was Ju-on, The Grudge.
Oh, yeah, the original, yep.
Yeah, and that, oh my God. I tell you, Japanese horror, they do it right. They really, I don't know why. And I've noticed something during this challenge. Americanized horror movies, I mean, there are some great ones, but they just don't have the same impact as some from other countries. I don't know what it is. But there's a difference in some of these, and it's just, I notice it's so much. I'm really enjoying the horror movies from other countries. I don't know what the.
Yeah, foreign horror to me is way better. It's the. I don't know what, and like I said, I don't know what it is, but it's something about the Americanized version just seems some kind of watered down and commercialized, whereas you don't get that from the foreign films.
Right, that's the best term. Like, that's the best thing is to say watered down, because that's what it is. There's watered down element to it. I guess just one funny one I watched, which was like, it was kind of like oddly appealing, was the Shark Lake, which was Dolph Lundgren basically fighting sharks on Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, that was. I've actually watched that before.
I actually enjoyed it.
I watched it a few years ago. I actually like that one.
Yeah, so that's the one that you should have no business liking, but something about it is so appealing. The actress that played the cop is really good too. She was good. And Dolph Lundgren is just Dolph Lundgren. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So So I mean, some of the other ones, I guess. I mean, there were some duds in there, like that movie Drive Through, which, oh God, that one just, I want my time back on that one. And that one with the cast in it should have been much better than it was, because it had some like Leighton Meester. It had I forgot the name, but she played a Jan on The Office, like Michael Scott's.
Oh yeah. I like her.
Like, she was great, but the movie itself just made no sense. I don't know. It just was not good.
Oh, as an aside, and this is completely non-horror, but that new podcast, Office Ladies, is fantastic.
Oh, I know. I want to hear that. I want to watch that. Not watch it. Listen to that podcast.
Yeah,
yes,
it's Jenna Fisher, and I can't remember the other lady's name that played in The Office, and they go through each episode.
Oh, Angela Kinsey.
Angela
right?
Kinsey, yeah. They go through each episode of because they're best friends in real life. And they go through each episode of The Office and just tell you behind-the-scenes stories. I mean, episode by episode. If you're a fan of The Office, you're going to absolutely love that podcast.
Oh, yeah, I got to hear that. Between that and the Dolly Parton podcast you got me listening to. I mean, they're both.
Yeah.
Now I have a lot of podcasts, non-horror, to listen to in there. Yeah. But I guess, I mean, other than that, I mean, you saw my list. I posted the whole picture. And, of course, obviously, we discussed this because we discussed it in length. Was The Barn, of course, which lived up to every expectation we ever wanted.
Yeah. So. That's a great one. My list, I think the biggest surprise and one I should have seen before was The Sentinel from 1977. Absolutely love that one. Don't know why it took me so long.
That's a really good one.
I don't know why it took me so long to see that one. That one was really good. Probably my favorite out of all of them. A couple of notable mentions in here. Of course, Santa's Sleigh, which was pretty hilarious. That's going to be a holiday routine, I think, from here on out, is Santa's Sleigh. That was from 2005. That was a great one. Let's see, look through here. I got to see a lot of stuff that I had just not got around to see, like Body Bags, that anthology with all the Tobe Hooper and John Carpenter.
Oh, right.
Which is kind of neat. And Stacy Keach as the guy with the hair. I love that. I love that segment.
By the way, there's one I didn't mention because I know you're going to mention it on yours, so I'll just wait.
Oh, okay.
Patiently.
Oh,
I think you know which one I'm talking about.
Evil Bong 666.
Of course.
Yeah, Evil Bong. I'm not saying, guys, as much as I talk about this movie, it's not a good movie, but it's so, I don't know, I found it wildly entertaining for some reason. One of the other ones, a couple of the other ones that kind of just stuck with me was that Hagazusa from 2017. That's that weird, it's like I think it's, I want to say it's German witch. It's like their version of the witch. It's very slow burn.
Yeah, KK Sam did that one, and they were traumatized.
Yeah,
on that
it's
one.
a very wow. That one's very traumatic, and that one kind of stuck with me. And then that Ganja and Hess from 1973. That one I just can't shake either. That was one of those ones that just kind of sticks in your mind and kind of stays there. There were some really rough spots too. Of course, Children of the Corn Revelation from 2001 was pretty rough.
I used to watch that all the time because I used to have.
Yeah, no.
I didn't. That one was weird, but for some reason I used to always watch that one. It was always on cable, so it was like one of those ones I didn't like seek it out. It just always was on.
Yeah.
So I'd always watch it.
Yeah, you don't go looking for that one; it finds you. And the other one that I thought was it was kind of rough. This one, I hate to talk bad about movies, but especially more modern ones. But The School from 2018, I just did not like that movie. It was I struggled to get through it. That's the one about the woman that's kind of trapped in her own mind. She's trapped in this school, and there's these haunted ghost kids that are trapped in there with her. And I don't know, the whole vibe of that thing, it just caught me wrong. I just did not like that one at all. I don't know. This one was a mixed bag for me. This horror challenge, because I've gotten to the point now where I've seen so many movies that you get to the point where you've kind of seen all the classics, you've kind of seen all the cult movies at this point. So you're kind of looking for, if they're not modern, that have come out in the last 2 or 3 years, the stuff you're looking through it's rare to come across as hidden gems like The Sentinel and Ganja and Hess and stuff that I had not seen before. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but man, what a great challenge this was. And I think it's definitely by far our most popular yet here in our third year. So I am definitely looking forward. We'll probably keep this format next year as well, because it just was such a hit, and I really had a good time with it.
Yeah, no, I think what we're going to do is up this format though next year. We made comments on 3 from Hell and how we wanted it upped a little bit. Well, we are going to up this format next year, make it much more challenging. Because I mean, this one, if you did some prep work, it was not hard to get the full 1,000 points.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like. Then again, I mean, I made a start, but if we put 60 different challenges in there, and remember now, you have now watched at least 30 more movies that now next year will not count.
That's right.
Because you have seen them. So, yeah, so next year just is going to be challenging again by that nature alone. But I don't know. I personally think this format is fun. I think it was fun to plan. I think it was fun to participate in. Everyone that it seemed like we've definitely had our most participators this year.
Yep.
And it was just fun to see. I mean, I just think it's a fun time of year, and I don't see other challenges do it like this. Most of the time, they did what we did in the early on, when they kind of give you a set movie each day to watch based on a theme. But I kind of like the freedom and giving everyone the option to kind of seek out movies, just seek them out a little differently.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't be telling you what to watch because we don't know what you've watched out there. And this has always been, for us personally, and it should be for you guys when you do it, a way to discover films that you might not otherwise discover. And that happens every single year. As many movies as I've seen, I always find something that just blows me away that I would have never run across had I not done the challenge. So that's what we're hoping to do for you guys as well.
Right, and now that Shudder just keeps upping their game and getting more and more originals and more movies, you're getting exposed to way more than you were just in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, so I was like, I can't wait to see what they're going to come up with next, because I know they're always pulling some new stuff. So, this should be pretty fun to see what happens next year. So,
all right, guys, so let's get to our Blu-ray releases. These are the Blu-ray releases for the week of November 12th, 2019. Our Discmemberment.
Wait, no, please, God. No, don't cut off my...
Okay, Brian, so this is kind of a weird week because we got more releases than we did last week. So the kind of the post-Halloween slump is starting to ease back up again. But almost every film is by a different publisher this week. It's like everybody decided to release one disc, except for Dark Side Releasing, which does have 2 out this week. And just a wide variety of stuff. This is kind of a very eclectic week. So let's get right into it. First up, from Lionsgate, we have 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. 14 girls diving in a ruined underwater city quickly learn they've entered the territory of the deadliest shark species in the claustrophobic labyrinth of submerged caves. And this is one, I actually like the first 47 Meters Down was pretty good, actually.
I did too. I thought it was really good. And by the way, just to clear things up, it's not 14 girls, it's 14 girls.
14
so
girls.
So don't expect it to be like this whole gaggle of people in there. It's just 4 of them.
This one actually has an audio commentary, which is kind of rare to see these days with a brand new disc. With writer-director Johannes Roberts, producer James Harris, and writer Ernest Riera. Diving Deeper, Uncaging 47 Meters Down featurette. And this one I thought looked pretty fun. I mean, I like the idea of like sharks hunting you in an underwater cave. That sounds pretty terrifying.
Yeah, no, and this one it looks like it's just like they're not just dealing with the like even the little tagline. It's like you wish you had a cage, In this one, it looks like they even it's basically worse. Mm-hmm. It's like you're not trapped in a cage this time. You're literally trapped in an underground labyrinth they make, which is such a how often do you even hear about an underground labyrinth, let alone trapped in one? Yeah. So, this one actually, it looks really interesting. And see, again, this is that whole theory I like of where you get trapped in a situation, where people get trapped in there. And just like the pool, just like Frozen, they're trapped in somewhat of a familiar situation that anyone could find themselves in, but yet magnified by 1,000, So it's like, I kind of like those things.
Yeah. Next up, we have The Phantom Creeps. This is from VCI, 1939, a Bela Lugosi movie.
Or Tim's Logic Professor, depending on who. Yeah.
At some point, we'll have to re-explain that for newcomers who haven't listened to our early episodes. But yeah, I did.
I know they're like, wait a minute, Tim studied under Bela Lugosi?
Yeah, I had Well, I will go ahead and I'll repeat the story one more time for those. I had a logic professor in college who was from the same part of the world as Bela Lugosi, I believe, and he had this very thick accent. And I remember the first day of class, he got up there and said, "People say I talk like a Bela Lugosi." So that's always been my. I'll never forget that guy. He was quite a character. So, Bela Lugosi stars in this film about a military intelligence officer and a pretty reporter trying to find a scientist whose inventions can destroy the world. So this is an old Universal classic. Outside of their monster series, and chance to see Bela Lugosi in his non-Dracula role, which is always fun to see. The next up is from Dark Sky Films. This one's called Bliss from 2019. A brilliant painter facing the worst creative block of her life turns to anything she can do to complete her masterpiece, spiraling into a hallucinatory hellscape of drugs, sex, and murder in the sleazy underbelly of Los Angeles.
Yeah, this one, you know what, the trailer on this one looks like, I said it was kind of like a trippy Requiem for Dream type thing, and it's a lot of parts of the trailer, but I can see this one either being really good or just god awful. And I hate to say that based off a trailer, but it's like that's what I kind of got. Like I could see it being completely one way or the other. Like there's not going to be a middle ground. It's either going to be amazing or it's going to be terrible. That's just my gut, if I had to guess. So
All right, so next up, again, these are in no particular order. This one is Wicked World from 1991 by AGFA. AGFA. We like to say AGFA.
Yeah.
And Brian, I'm going to let you guess this one, and I will give you one hint.
Okay.
I only made you guess this one because I didn't want to paste the synopsis because it was too long.
Oh, God. Great. And that's the hint?
That's the hint.
Didn't we look up what AGFA was one day?
It is. It's like it's something like American Genre Film Association.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, Wicked World.
Wicked World.
Great.
What a world. What a world. This one is... I'll give you some more hints. Okay, it's directed by Barry J. Gillis. Stars Patty Ann Crossman, Maria Delgado, and Kelly Feilhaber. I don't know. Feilhaber.
That really,
That's not much
that really helps.
And it's Canadian.
Yeah. Wicked World. I literally have I don't even know where to start with this one. I'm just going to say it has something to do with some weird kind of satanic worshipping cult. And they're just wicked. I don't know.
Oh, well, I'm afraid, Brian, the only demons in this movie are inner demons.
Oh, God.
Violent, twisted, and brutally horrifying, Wicked World is a feature film like nothing else you have ever experienced. Grant Eklund, Barry J. Gillis, Things, 1989, is a dirty cop with a checkered past that endlessly haunts him. The love of his life was murdered by a serial killer named Harold, Eddie Platt, who slaughtered a countless number of humans in the city of Toronto, Canada, before he was finally locked up and sent to a mental institution. Now, many years later, Harold is set to be released back into society, and Eklund hopes for a final showdown with his archenemy. Nightmares clash into a brand new reality as Eklund faces a host of problems and obstacles that he himself must overcome if he ever hopes to face the murderous serial-killing madman and set his own inner demons free.
That was a long synopsis.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was so close on it, too.
Yeah. Well, you might have gotten better at this next one, which I did not make you guess because I thought it was too obvious. This is Virgin Cheerleaders in Chains from Dark Side Releasing, 2018. Actually, this one looks kind of fun. A bumbling young film crew shooting a low-budget horror movie in an abandoned orphanage discover that a family of sadistic killers has rewritten their script.
Yeah.
And Brian puts exactly what you'd expect plus a song.
It is. Did you see this trailer?
No, I have not gotten to see the trailer yet.
The trailer has the whole song entitled Virgin Cheerleaders in Chains, singing throughout the entire trailer.
Well, I thought I'll get to watch that then.
Yeah, I think you will. So that's literally, it is exactly what you expect. I could not have written that any clearer.
That's funny. All right. Also from Dark Side Releasing, we have the Attic from 2007. Emma and her family are unhappy after moving to her house. One day she went to the...
Oh, wait, you skipped one. Oh, I see what you're doing. Sorry. My bad. All right, start over. Sorry.
Next up is The Attic, also from Dark Side Releasing from 2007. Emma and her family are unhappy after moving to her house. One day she went to the attic and found someone who looked like her and began haunting her. Okay.
Yeah, this trailer, this trailer looks so low budget.
Hey, Elizabeth Moss is in this?
Yes, it is Elizabeth Moss. It actually, I looked up the cast. There's also Alexandria Daddario is in this somewhere, but she must be young. And then the little person that plays the Audrey Horne's husband in Twin Peaks: The Return is in this too. But I don't know. Yeah, this, and actually, the cast on this they had some other people in it. I was just trying to be funny with the way I wrote that. And sorry if you keep hearing that bang. It's because for some reason today where I'm sitting, I keep smacking my mic stand. I don't know why. But this one was like super kind of low budget, and I don't know like why it was so low budget with this cast in it. It even had John Savage in it, Catherine Mary Stewart. It had like a decent cast in there. I don't know what happened, but it looked like, it just looks weird and kind of, I don't know, kind of odd.
If you guys are wondering where the special features are, there just weren't a lot of special features this week. It's kind of weird. We had a lot of bare bones discs. I did miss the ones for Wicked World. We did have a new transfer and audio commentary with the director and a behind the scenes documentary and music video. So had a few extra features on there, but the rest of these There's not much out there.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. Some of the other, how some people add plots also to it. I know we try and take the main one, but there's another one here. It's funny. It's almost similar. It says, Emma doesn't like the new house her family has moved into, especially the attic. Since moving into the house, the whole family is unsettled. Get it? Unsettled? Okay. Emma, because they didn't get settled in yet. Okay. Emma becoming reclusive. One day, Emma is in the attic alone and is attacked by what appears to be her identical twin. Emma sets out to find the riddle set before her. Yeah.
Fun.
So there you go. A little bit
more
more
exposition. Oh my God. Maui the Hard Cat is killing me. He scratches to get in, and as soon as he gets in, he turns around and scratches to get back out. Oh, it's so annoying.
But Maui's my buddy.
Yeah. Oh, he's so cute. He gets away with murder.
He's too cute. Yeah, you can't really ever get mad at him.
All right, next up is Philophobia, or The Fear of Falling in Love. Not to be confused with another movie called Philophobia without the subtitle. This one's from...
I thought this sounded familiar, but it was like...
2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is by Gravitas Ventures. The disc is by Gravitas Ventures. Mildly successful podcaster... That sounds familiar, Brian.
I know. Is that based off of
sorry.
Our careers?
Mildly successful podcaster Damian Booster is digging his bachelor lifestyle until a frequent hookup confesses her love for him while delivering an ultimatum. If he shows up for brunch to meet her mother, she'll know he is serious. If not, things are over between them. Terrified of his true feelings, Damien accepts this breakup, but his mind and inner feelings begin to spin out of control with haunting visions of commitment, just in time for his hometown best friend to visit him in Los Angeles. Damien attempts to maneuver...
Why was that specified, by the way?
I don't know.
That it had to be Los Angeles.
Damien attempts to maneuver through his psychological and emotional breakdown to show his friend a good time in Hollywood, but his fear of love make it the best of him.
Yeah, I don't know why this is a horror movie, number one. I don't quite get it. And I want to know why David Schwimmer is in this disguised behind a giant mustache.
I've neglected to watch these trailers, but I missed out on a lot.
Yeah, it's not really David Schwimmer, but it looks exactly like a poor man's David Schwimmer behind a mustache. It would not shock me to find out that it was him, and he was just so embarrassed that he wore a big mustache. So yeah, you got to see this just to see that part.
Nice. I'm going to skip over our pick of the week. That'll come out in just a minute because Brian and I agreed this week. Next up is Flowers in the Attic. This is an Arrow release from 1987. I remember loving this movie when I was younger. Children are... I don't know why. I think it was because... I don't know. For some reason... I don't know why... I don't know that I actually did love this movie now that I think about it, but I remember watching it a lot for some reason.
Yeah, I remember my mom who read the book, so she wanted to see it. So I remember we watched it, but I remember fans of the book kind of not liking this at all.
Yeah, because Olivia loved V.C. Andrews. She had all the V.C. Andrews books. I mean, she read all of them, and I remember her saying she didn't like this movie at all because apparently it was very different from the book, or they didn't adapt it well, or something. I don't know. I never read the books. It was really not my demographic, so I don't know why I watch this movie so much.
Yeah.
This one is children are hidden away.
Christy Swanson? I don't know.
I don't know. Children are hidden away in the attic by their conspiring mother and grandmother. This one is a pretty packed collector's edition. It has new audio commentary by who else? Kat Ellinger, author and editor-in-chief of Diabolique magazine.
She's back.
He or she is back. We don't know. I've got to look that up.
Should probably look that up. Yeah, because we've insulted him or her many of times. Yeah. And not intentionally.
No. I think that's awesome that she is getting so many commentaries. So, Home Sweet Home, filming Flowers in the Attic. A new interview with.
Okay, it's a she.
Okay,
and she's got her own podcast apparently too. So.
Oh, yeah, she probably knows about us, and she's probably crying in her pillow every night as we bash her every week.
I know. Well, we were actually more impressed with her.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
You actually think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Home Sweet...
It's William Catt's fault, actually. If William Catt didn't exist, we probably would have always said it's a...
That's right.
Not even thought there could be a man. So.
Home Sweet Home, filming Flowers in the Attic, a new interview with cinematographer Frank Byers. Fear and Wonder, designing Flowers in the Attic, a new interview with production designer John Muto. The Devil's Spawn, playing Flowers in the Attic, a new interview with actor Jeb Stuart Adams. Shattered Innocence, composing Flowers in the Attic, a new interview with composer Christopher Young. production gallery of behind-the-scenes images, illustrations, and storyboards. This is interesting. The original studio vetoed ending. I've read about this. That sounds really cool. And the revised ending with commentary by replacement director Tony Caden, original theatrical trailer, and reversible sleeve art. So, yeah, it is, like you said in your notes here, Brian, it is a very interesting choice of movie for a collector's edition like this.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was that popular, and I remember it being bashed more than it's ever been liked.
Except for me, apparently, because I watched it all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, well, no, I watch it. I remember it appearing on cable, and I had seen it a bunch of times. I mean, like, enough that I remember it pretty clearly. I remember Victoria Tennant was very kind of, like, annoying in it because, you know, she was obviously the mother who pretty much sold her kids out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, I guess maybe it had some good performances in it. That could be what salvaged it. But, yeah, like, I'm surprised that with all the other movies out there that don't even have releases on Blu-ray,
yeah,
like, for this to come out first as a special edition.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I used to love the, like I said, Olivia read all the books. The one thing I did love about the books is they had the paperbacks had that cool, like, cutout, like the front cover would have a cutout of, like, you'd see, like, the kids through the window, and then you would open it, and it would be, like, the full scene. I love
That's
that.
right.
That cool.
Yeah.
The last one on our list, before we get to our pick of the week, is Return to Nukem High, a.k.a. Volume 2. This is 2017 Trauma, a follow-up to the classic Return to Nukem High. Following the events of the previous film, a lesbian couple are determined to eliminate the most corrupt evil forces of Tromaville and the world. I've got to see this trailer.
Yeah, you will get nothing about that from the trailer. I mean, you can tell there are lesbians in it, guaranteed. You can find that out. The trailer probably has the 3 Bs in it.
Wow.
Way more than I expected in a trailer. It is the uncut trailer I watched. I mean, there's actually, like, a ridiculous amount of female and male nudity in this trailer, and a ton of gore. And there is more Murr from Impractical Jokers, which I kind of thought was kind of funny to see him in there. And I think I remember when he was talking about when he was filming this, Murr, because I follow them on Twitter and everything, all the Impractical Jokers. And so, but yeah, this thing looks nuts. I mean, this thing looks just off. I immediately went to try and see a copy of it, but I don't think it's available anywhere yet. I don't even know if it's been fully released. But I guess it's coming out on, it says 2017, but it's nowhere to be found anywhere. At least I didn't find it streaming anywhere. Like, I looked in that Just Watch list. I don't even think it came up. But apparently it comes out on Blu-ray, so
Wow.
you can probably just pick it up.
All right, and then finally, our pick of the week. We both agreed on this one. This is Road Games, the Shout Factory Collector's Edition. This is the 1981 Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis movie. This one's fantastic. I just watched this one either this past year or last year for the first time. A truck driver plays a cat-and-mouse game with a mysterious serial killer on a desolate Australian highway. This was a fantastic movie. Stacy Keach is wonderful as ever in this one. And this one has a new interview with Stacy Keach, has a new audio commentary with cinematographer Vincent Monton, production coordinator Helen Watts, and costume designer Aphrodite Condos, moderated by filmmaker Mark Hartley. A new 1980s script read with producer-director Richard Franklin and actors Stacy Keach and Marion Edwards. New composer Brian May music demos with still and poster gallery, an audio commentary producer-director Richard Franklin. The Making of Road Games featurette, extended interviews from Mark Hartley's documentary Not Quite Hollywood, featuring Jamie Lee Curtis, Stacy Keach, Richard Franklin, Grant Page, a bunch of other people involved with this movie. Lecture on the Making of Road Games with Richard Franklin, co-producer Barbie Taylor, and composer Brian May. Profile Richard Franklin, audio interview with Richard Franklin, audio interview with Stacy Keach, audio interview with stunt coordinator and actor Grant Page, and a gallery of stills, production shots, storyboards, newspaper reviews, promotional artwork materials, and a theatrical trailer. Totally packed disc. Definitely a great movie. Kind of an interesting choice, again, for a collector's edition, because I don't think... I had really didn't know a whole lot about this movie before I kind of stumbled across it, so I don't know how popular it is, but if you have not seen this, or even if you have seen it, definitely pick this collector's edition up. This is a really, really good one.
Yeah, no, this one pretty much guarantees the the pick of the week, I think.
All right, Brian. So our main feature this week is the movie Marla, and it's sometimes listed as Marla May on IMDb.
Yes, I think they changed the title along the way at some point. I think because it's now listed as Marla, and that's how the DVD is coming out as well.
Right,
so.
right.
And our copy we got sent to Marla.
Yeah.
So
this was a 2018 release by director Lisa Van Dam Bates, and the exciting news is we have an interview with her coming up right now. So, Brian, let's roll that. We're going to kind of just do this a little differently and kind of discuss the movie inside the interview, and maybe we'll wrap up a little bit about it afterwards. But I think you guys are really going to enjoy this. So here we go, our interview with Lisa Van Dam Bates.
Okay, so we are pleased to have on the show an exciting new director who's behind the amazing new film Marla. So welcome to the show, Lisa Van Dam Bates.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. So I guess to start this interview off, we'll just why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what made you interested in film?
Well, I've been, like a lot of people that get into film, I've been a film watcher for quite some time. Growing up, we didn't have cable TV, so but we had this like huge television screen that was really important to my dad, and we would like rent movies, a couple times a week. So we watched a lot of movies growing up, and then in high school, I just got really into horror movies, and I would have these like horror nights at my friend's house. We would just like go to Blockbuster and rent like 3 to 5 movies and just watch them like all in a row every weekend. So. That
was pretty much our childhood as well. Tim and I both always talk about that, how those Friday nights at the video store were pretty key.
We used to get the most unrented tape we could find in the back of the horror section to rent just to see what it was like. So
yeah, there's definitely some doozies in there, but that's part of the fun.
Yep. So speaking of that, is there any particular directors or horror movies that really inspired you, especially in light of this film?
It's interesting. Well, not interesting. I'm just one of those people that has like no brain for remembering like anybody's name or any movie titles, or like, it's like pretty embarrassing to me. But people like, have you seen this? And I'm like, nope, never heard of it. And then I'll watch it and be like, oh no, I saw that and I like that. So, and I think part of that is, in high school I had like no reference. I didn't, I wasn't really the one picking the movies. I was with a bunch of friends who had already seen a lot of things. So like I was constantly hearing all these like names and titles, and I just kind of in one ear and out the other. The first movie that like really got me hooked on like, because I had gone to like a couple horror nights and been like, yeah, these are like fun or whatever. But like the first movie that got me going was Bad Taste by Peter Jackson.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Like
yeah.
It's the over the top, just really silly gore. I think I was just like so shocked when the hammer goes in, like that sledgehammer goes into this guy's head, and like this like pink pudding just like oozes out. I was like, what? And I just became like obsessed with that. And I, to this day, I still really like practical effects, and that's really important to me when I'm watching them.
Oh yeah, we're big fans of practical effects, and it's funny too when you mentioned Bad Taste too, because I love the people that have no idea Peter Jackson directed that, and then when we tell them, oh yeah, that's the Lord of the Rings guy, and they're like, really? He did horror?
It's so funny.
Yeah, because he did some crazy horror stuff, which I love, like shocking people that don't know that. But so speaking of horror, let's tell everybody a little bit about Marla. So where did you get the idea for this film? Because it's a really interesting premise. So like, where did that come from?
I had been kind of kicking around a couple, I had decided I'd never done anything in film. I'd never really been on a movie set. I had like been an extra on a TV show one time. So that was like my only frame of reference, but I decided that I was going to make a movie, and I really didn't want to write a script. I have a very like love-hate relationship with writing, and it's like really hard, and I just really didn't want to. So I had, some people that I was talking to about like possibly developing scripts that they had written And it was just like so messy. You know, I had like a really good friend who had like an interesting script, and I was like, okay, I could turn this into something that I want. And he was like, well, I'd be stoked to have you make it, but you can't change anything. And you know, you have to sign over like the intellectual property, and it was just like all this right off the bat. And I was like, dude, like you're never gonna make it. Like, so I was like, fine, I'll write my own script, and I was really not happy about it. But so I'd been in like this mindset of like, you know, I just need to like come up with an idea so I can write a script. And I actually went to just a checkup at Planned Parenthood. And this is when I was living in Texas. So Planned Parenthood is like kind of traumatic, even in the Northwest, because you can get like those odd days when they have like the Christians and the crazy people out who are just like screaming in your face. And it's like, you know, not very fun. But in Texas, it's crazy. They have like, you know, it's like a compound, and it's like these like tall wire, you know, like jagged fences, like you just feel like you're going into like a prison or something, and it's to keep out all the crazies. And then I had like a really, you know, just it's never like a fun appointment to have to go to, and it just was like on a lot of levels just really stupid. And that visit was actually like one of the first scenes that I wrote for Marla, and then it just kind of like snowballed and changed from there.
Oh,
well, I think that terror came across in the film, because I found that scene one of the hardest to watch. And I'm a guy, so I'm never going to know what you girls are going through when you go to a visit like that. Of course, I'm married. I've heard my wife's horror stories about visiting the doctor, but even like watching it in the film, I think that fear and that realism, I don't know how to describe it, really came across to me, because I did find it very uncomfortable. I can't imagine how uncomfortable a female viewer would find that.
I'm glad. It's interesting because the actor who plays the doctor was like super, really uncomfortable about having to do that scene too, because he, you know, he was like, even when we were just doing rehearsals, and you know, I'm like fully clothed, sitting in like an armchair, and having him just like sit in position, not doing anything, and he was like, you know, I just am really uncomfortable just even being sitting here right now. I was like, yeah, I get it. And he said he just watched a bunch of like super technical like medical videos on like gynecological exams, and then he was like, okay, I think I can do this now, but you know, it's really uncomfortable. I get it.
He must have had a fun search engine there now on his computer.
Well, so what I find fascinating, well, first let me back up just a little bit, because I always find it fascinating people that actually go through making their own movie, because that's got to be a tremendous amount of effort. I mean, it was a tremendous amount of effort for us to decide to finally just do a podcast. Yeah. And that's like orders of magnitude less complicated. And I'd like to hear like the mindset of what, I know you talked a little bit about the idea of making this movie, but what finally pushes you off that cliff to actually go for it and make a film like this?
You know, it's a lot of just ignorance and stupidity. I had like one friend in high school who was like kind of into making movies, and he makes indie films now, but he was the only person I've ever met who I knew makes movies. And he, you know, I wasn't really friends with him anymore after he made a feature. Like in high school, he was just making shorts and like skate videos and stuff. So, you know, I just had this idea like, okay, I'm going to make a movie, and I should probably talk to somebody who's made a movie so I can, you know, pick their brain and figure out what goes into it. Because I had zero concept of, you know, I knew that you have to write a script and that you have to film it. And I was like, okay, you have to do casting, and, you know, I'm going to have to like find locations, like all that kind of like upfront kind of logistical stuff was easier for me, because I, you know, have like worked in catering for 10 years, and like, you know, that kind of like planning is very straightforward. But so I just called up my friend, and I was like, you know what, tell me about your process. And he is, you know, he's like a director, cinematographer who just shoots, you know, he'll just go somewhere with a camera and an actor, and like he doesn't have anything planned out, and his shot list and schedule is just like post-its on a poster board. So he kind of like, you know, gave me insight into how he operated, and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like it'll work. And then, you know, I didn't even understand that you do like more than one take, or that you like that that like, you know, you do like a scene for one person's coverage and then you have to do it 10 times for another person's coverage. Like it's making a movie really changes the way that you watch a movie. And I really was just watching movies like purely as entertainment and not thinking about like the technical aspects of like how they were executed. So I went into it knowing absolutely nothing. And every single step of the process was like, you know, a new, like I didn't know anything about editing. Like I just had to learn about everything as I was doing it from the ground up. And I don't know that I would have attempted if I'd known how much work it was going to be.
Interesting. Yeah. Speaking of that work, you wrote the film, you directed the film, you starred in the film, and you did the special effects, which is super impressive to me. So I know that had to have been hard, but I know there was challenges. You maybe talk about some of the challenges of taking on all those roles for the movie, and were there any benefits you found to having that much control and taking on that many roles?
I mean, the challenge is always money, right? That's like, so we were on our executive producer like financed it, and we spent a ridiculously low amount of money. Like I don't even want to say the number because it's so low. Like it's insanely low. And we got really lucky that we found a lot of like really awesome crew members who were willing to work for really cheap, and that helped us out a lot. And you know, like I also did all the craft services, and I like cooked. So for like a month before production, I was like cooking crew meals. Like I was cooking like 20 pounds of food every night and like labeling everything and freezing it so that when we're on set, our producer could just like heat it up. We didn't even have any PAs. Like it's just like so short-sighted and stupid. It was just like, okay, I knew what had to get done and we just did it all ourselves. And I'm sure that, you know, next time if I have more support and help, it will only make the final product better.
Well, I tell you, Tim and I aren't bad in the kitchen, so if you ever need help next time, at least with the craft services, we can maybe help you out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Brian and I are big supporters of indie film, and I find that stuff, I don't find that a detriment. I find that really inspiring and creative when filmmakers can put together something on so small a budget and with, you know, just minimal people, everything like that. So we're huge supporters of that kind of movie. So that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and when we we'll say that on our show, you know, we'll say, oh, it's got an indie feel to it, and I know sometimes people, you know, that don't understand, they'll go like, oh, and to us that's a benefit, I think, because there's something about the indie film feel to me that I'm just always drawn to, and it, you know, so it's like when we say that, we truly mean it as a positive, and you know, and I feel, you know, I kind of feel bad for people that look at that not that same way because they're missing out.
Totally. I do understand it. I think, you know, I understand the flip side a little bit. You know, like if you haven't been exposed, it's kind of like when I first started listening to punk music, it's like it all kind of sounds the same and it's like really, you know, just like noise, and it's hard to like distinguish what the point is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And like the production value tends to be really low, so you're just kind of like, you know, it can be a little bit like assaulting. And then once you know, kind of like get into it and find little nuances here and there, then you can like really distinguish, you know, the difference between these things and appreciate those things. And I think that movies are kind of the same. It's when you have only seen like polished, you know, Hollywood stuff that like the technical issues that a lot of indie films have can be really overwhelming and kind of like off-putting to people. And it's hard to, you know, concentrate on the story and like the point if you're like so caught up in like the crappy sound or the sound issues or like the, you know, camera wobbles or whatever. But I think that once you get past that stuff, there's definitely a lot more benefit to indie films than the Hollywood stuff.
Yeah, and I think horror fans probably can appreciate it more because of all those times you would take like this horror movie, like Tim said, like off the back of the shelf, the dusty videotape that's nobody touched, because it could be one of those type of films that just was shot, you know, a really low budget because horror wasn't given those kind of budgets back in the day. So it's kind of, I mean, I think maybe we have the advantage that we can, you know, we're kind of it's not as shocking, let's say, as someone who just kind of maybe gets into the genre.
I agree totally, and I didn't really get used to that kind of like lo-fi quality until I started watching horror movies, and I do remember it being a little bit jarring in the beginning when I first started watching horror movies.
Also, so I'll go to, this is kind of a two-part question. So I've seen some of the reviews and commentary on the film mention it kind of being in the same vein as like an It Follows, and while you can definitely see where it comes in some of the plot, but definitely the tone. I noticed. So how do you feel about hearing something like that? And do you feel that you actually captured the mood that you were going for with this?
It's interesting because, like what I had in my head was so very different than what we ended up with. And I think that that's, partially because I am learning and I wasn't, super good at communicating like what I was thinking in terms that, like in technical terms that crew could understand. But then I also think that there is like a collaboration component where, you kind of like give some control over to your cinematographer and your crew, and you get to see your story through their lens, and that's kind of interesting too. I definitely was not trying to copy It Follows. It Follows.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to say copy. I wasn't trying to say it's copy. Just the.
No, I know what you mean, like tone-wise, and I think it does kind of have, parts of it have a similarity there, which I don't hate. Like that's a beautiful, I think It Follows has a lot of issues, but it's overall like a pretty interesting and well-made movie. I think there's also a tendency to just like lump, especially like horror subject matter that has to do with, women and sex together. So it's like a lot of people are like, oh, it's basically teeth, or It Follows, or like, like people really want to put things into a box that they can kind of like, it helps them like process and understand things. And I get that to an extent, but I hope that someday we get to a point where like female centric things don't have to be all lumped together for people to understand them.
Yeah, and we, and that like that was actually, we both liked we liked It Follows too. And we liked the tone. So that's one of the things that drew me to this film, though, happened to be just I kind of like the whole tone of it. And I'm not trying to lump it together with that. Just I like the just the whole mood of the film seemed really realistic. And that's what I one of the things that I like best about it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, to me, like that is an effective like horror tool, is like, setting things in a realistic setting and having most things be like super realistic, and then when things are just a little bit off, it's like all the more unsettling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that is exactly, and we've mentioned that on with films in the past where something is, when it's slightly off, but in this real world setting you can't put your finger on what's exactly off. That just, to me, that pulls me into a movie because I'm wondering, okay, what is off now? Where is this going? So I think you did a fantastic job capturing that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting to hear some of the feedback. I know there's like some very negative stuff out there, which is fine. I know that like comes with the territory, but I think I made a movie that's not for everybody, and I know it's kind of slow paced, and so I'm glad that some horror fans can appreciate what I was trying to do there. That's awesome.
Yeah, see that, and actually Tim and I have this all the time. When some people say, "Oh, the movie's so," like one of the movies that comes to mind like is The Witch. Like they used to, so many people said, "Oh, it's so slow, and but you know what? To me, I have no problem when a movie is deliberately paced as such to pay off in the end, which yours did, which I'm not going to spoil for anyone that has not seen it yet. But so it's like we both the same way. We have no problem with that kind of that pacing or tone going throughout.
Nice. I'm glad.
So Lisa, how do you go about publicizing a film like this? Did you guys hit like any kind of like film fest circuits or anything? I mean, how do you get this thing out there?
So we did, I applied to a lot of film fests. Film fests are incredibly expensive to apply to. They add up really quickly. Like the bigger ones are like in the $100 $150 range just to submit. And then like, even like the smaller ones that you've never heard of and that probably won't do much for your film are still like in the $30 to $50 range. So, it's kind of this frustrating thing where you want to get into like the best, you want your premiere to be at like the best, biggest film fest possible, but you don't want to spend like, I'm a bartender, so I was paying for post-production, like with my tips. I did not have money to just like spend on film fest. And I kind of blew a bunch in the beginning and then didn't get into anything and realized that that's probably not the route that we were trying to go. We did get into like a couple and we went and, I didn't find them to really do that much for the film, if that makes sense. You're just kind of like there with so many other movies and, I don't feel like there's not really distributors like at fests anymore, just like looking for content. So I actually worked on somebody else's indie horror movie and met this producer who has sold their films a lot and hired him on. And so he just kind of like helped us, kind of guided us through like that process of like finding a distributor and like, gathering all the documents and things that you need in order to make that happen. And so that was almost 2 years ago that we first started looking for a distributor. So it's a lengthy process.
Wow, that's interesting. So can our listeners find this film out there? Where can they see this?
We just had our official release yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
And that was on Amazon, so I know that you can like order it on Amazon. I think you can stream it on Amazon Prime, and there's like, the DVD. And then I'm not I was told that after a little bit that it'll be on more platforms. So I'm not 100% sure where you can see it, but for now, it's on Amazon, and that's the way to go.
Well, we'll keep an eye out, and anytime we see it like add to another platform, we'll make sure we share it. And so we try and be as active on social media as we can. So anytime I see stuff like that, we'll make sure we share it, and we'll mention it on our show all the time. So definitely help you get the word out there.
I am terrible at social media, and so I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So what else have you got coming up now that now Marla's released? You can take the deep breath. It's getting out there. So do you have any other projects you have coming up that you're working on that you want to tell us about?
I do. It's actually kind of funny. Your podcast name is kind of relevant to me right now. I'm co-writing a horror feature with a friend of mine who has written and directed a couple horror movies that are out there, have been distributed. His first film was called The Invoking, and it's got I think it's like a 5-installment franchise based off of his first movie, so that's pretty cool.
Oh wow!
So we are actually making a Civil War era horror.
See, this was meant to be that you were going to come on here.
Yeah, so we're just about to start looking for investors and doing some fundraising, but it's just about this soldier who gets hurt and has this really disgusting, severe stomach wound, and this sociopathic military surgeon who becomes obsessed with his wound and starts experimenting on it. So
wow, our podcast title literally is the best title then for that movie.
I was like, what is this? Is this yeah, it was a little, but yep, you guys are right on brand.
That is funny. We always joke that what was the movie? What was the one we said was Civil Gore, the movie that
2001 Maniac.
Maniacs, yeah, because it had that whole north-south vibe to it. But this may have just topped it. Your new movie may have topped it.
Yeah. I think it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, our last question was actually where can we find you on social media? But you said you're not very good at social media, so maybe it's not an appropriate question. But where could they get in touch with you?
I am going to be better. So there's always the Marla May Facebook page, which I'm going to be honest, I have not paid attention to in a very long time. And, I think somebody else has been doing me the favor of posting a couple updates on there, which is really sweet. And I do have an Instagram, which again, I do a lot of effects work now. So I really should be keeping that stuff on Instagram and, letting people check it out. And I think my Instagram handle is Lisa.VanDamBates. Yeah.
We always forget ours too. It's so funny because sometimes we have it Civil Gore podcast.
Yeah.
We have it all out.
We'll double check
look
it.
for it.
Yeah, we'll double check it, put it in the show notes. So yeah.
So and then I'm still on Facebook, but I try to stay off there. So yeah, Instagram would be cool, and this will be good motivation for me to actually start using it.
Yeah, because now you're gonna get when all our listeners hear it, they're gonna start like looking for you now. So you got to be ready.
They can start shaming me. Yeah, they can be like, "What the hell, Lisa? 8 posts in 5 years? What's up with that?"
Well, it's probably something freeing too about not being tied to the social media. So I'm sure it's not necessarily a bad thing, but now we've kind of made it hard for you not to be on it because people are going to be looking. So
that's fine. They can find me, and then they can be really excited every year when I post.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was really a treat because we both really enjoyed the film. So it's kind of fun when we get to see a movie that we like and then get to talk to the creator behind it. And when we say creator now, I don't think that's ever held more weight based on what you told us that you've done on this film.
Thank you. It's really nice to hear some positive feedback every now and then. Very appreciated.
Oh, yeah. Well, and going forth to anything you need to promote, just seriously feel free to reach out to us. We love helping get the word out there for horror films and horror creators. So, whenever your next movie, Civil Gore the movie is right, is what it's going to be.
I know we might have to rework the title.
But all kidding aside, so we are more than happy to help share that. And if you ever need to come back on the show to help promote, just send us a line and we'll make sure we pop you on there to get the word out.
Amazing. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Brian, so let's talk a little bit about Marla, because I know we had the interview with Lisa, and you guys that have not seen the movie yet, we're probably trying to follow along when we were talking about some of these scenes. But let's talk a little bit about the movie and what it was about, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and we'll try and stay spoiler free, just so because we don't want you to kind of get gypped at seeing this the proper way, because you definitely do not want to have the whole plot spilled out for you in this one. So
right.
Yeah, so this one we'll go through our usual thing. So this was Marla. It was from 2018, directed, of course, and as we found out in the interview, directed, written, the special effects, even catered. I mean, literally the inspiration, everything. I mean, which makes this movie even more impressive, I have to say now. As we mentioned, we weren't kidding on that front at all. Lisa VanDamBates. And so she also starred in it as Marla. We had Travis Johnny Ware as Jake, Kate Hemming as Jules, Jason Stange as Dr. Lourdes, and Palmer Chase as Detective Wirtz. So the synopsis is, when a girl goes to get an IUD implanted by a distant relative, he commits a deranged act which has deadly implications for those close to her. And one of the things I would say is, so, when we first got the screener for this, and I saw the picture, it just had a really cool picture of of Marla, the main character, just drenched with this bloody face. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to have some good gore in it. And the gore definitely did not disappoint. I thought there was a lot of good gore in it. And I was like trying to figure out when I watched it, I'm like, how is this all going to tie in? And it's, like we had mentioned, the scene, it begins pretty, it starts off in a pretty basic way where she's just, the main character is just kind of going to work, and you basically discover that she's going to get this IUD implanted by an old family friend. And, people kind of give her some well, what? And, and they give her weird looks, like, why are you doing this? Like, you're getting because it's free. So she's like, you're getting a free IUD, and the boyfriend's a little weirded out, as, you can imagine. But, she kind of just says, well, he's a family friend. He's like a brother to me. It's no big deal, kind of thing. And just, so the premise starts off so simple, but yet you immediately kind of get drawn in to the kind of the unsettling aspect of it all. Didn't you feel that way, Tim, too? You gotta get pulled in right away with something's not right.
Yeah, and I was trying to explain during the interview when I was talking about how uncomfortable that whole IUD scene was, is because, and I know Lisa said, she would like to get to a point where female horror movies or horror movies based around like sex and that kind of thing are not lumped together.
Right.
But in this case, I thought it was really effective because, like I said, that's not something that me as a guy sees.
Right.
I'm not in the room doing the gynecological exam, and I found it extremely uncomfortable, and it actually added to the horror of it because you're seeing something that's a little bit taboo.
Right.
From my perspective, I mean, from a woman's perspective, you're seeing it from having experienced it in real life. And that's where that horror comes from. For me, it was kind of seeing kind of the dirty details of something you don't normally get to witness.
Right. Like, we're not in there. Even when our wives go, we're not in that room, It's
right.
Like,
so you have kind of this level of horror that works for both genders in a different way. It means something different to each gender. But I thought that was interesting. I mean, I know I'm the same way. I don't like pigeonholing horror movies as female quote-unquote horror movies or male horror movies.
Right.
I think that's ridiculous. I think it's just horror movies. But there is something to be said for the different perspectives between the genders and what they can bring to horror from adding their perspective to it. And I thought that was really, really cool in this film. The way that perspective was portrayed and how it worked for anybody who's watching the movie, not just whether you're female or male.
Right. Yeah, she did a great job doing that. And that's why I felt even bad when I asked that question, because I was trying to, because it was, and I hope it came out okay, because what I was trying to say is how great how great that vibe and that unsettling off feeling was that we got when we saw like And It Follows and stuff like that. And so that's what I was trying. So I hope it came out, and I think we explained it okay, but that's really what it is. You're right though. And that's like, she kind of has that obviously I don't know, fight's not the right word, but that, yeah, there is that stigma that comes along with that. And I think she did a great job kind of getting out of that by just making it uncomfortable for both men and women.
Yeah, it reminded me of, I almost mentioned this in the interview, but it reminded me of that film Raw that we did.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And if you remember, that had a particular scene in there that was very uncomfortable for me to watch as a guy. And it kind of gave me that same feel of, you're witnessing something you shouldn't be seeing,
right,
type of thing. And that's where a lot of the horror came in for me. So I thought that was really cool and very effective.
Right. And I think the whole movie had this kind of just like really realistic flow to it, where the characters just seemed like they would be. There was no like of any kind of this overacting that sometimes movies will get to, but this just had a real almost like a natural grittiness, if that makes sense. It just like, it felt like you were just kind of thrown into this story where you don't really belong, but you're in the middle of it now, watching what's going on, and you can kind of. And I think that's what one of the positives that made it unsettling a little bit, because you don't belong in this. Because if you think about it, that's a really personal thing. And it's like,
yeah,
you're not supposed to be involved in this, yet you are. So it's kind of, I think that was really effective what she did there.
Well, that's something we've talked about before, Brian, is that sometimes, and that's one of the reasons I love low budget indie films, is because sometimes you get to the point where it seems more authentic because the people aren't professional actors, or they aren't, they're not industry people, so they do seem more authentic.
Right.
They don't have this Hollywood feel to them, or they're not putting on this show that we're so used to in like really commercial films. I kind of like that. I think it does make it feel more realistic and more grounded. So I definitely see that. I mean, the lady that we interviewed about that was playing the Jason victim,
right, yeah,
in Friday the 13th Vengeance. I mean, perfect example. She wasn't an actress, and she had one of the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah, because like to her, like that would be like, oh my god, like if someone came out to kill her. Yeah,
so I love that aspect of low budget indie movies. So I don't see that as a detriment at all. I think it's actually a big benefit.
Right, and it's so funny because how what's amazing is sometimes how you'll like a movie and then you find out more about it, and then you appreciate it even more. And I think that I really got that from the interview, just interviewing Lisa, because I mean, we already liked the movie and enjoyed it, and then to find out the way it came together and she put it in, to me, like, just then even enhanced it, and it's like you really can appreciate what went into doing this movie.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Rebecca McKendry had a great quote on the latest episode of Shockwaves, and this is a common quote among filmmakers, but she was talking about how there's always 3 movies. There's the one you envision, there's the one you shoot, and then there's the one that you end up with. Yeah. After all the editing's done. And that's kind of, Lisa alluded to that, where,
right.
Maybe it didn't come out exactly as her vision was, but you ended up with some result. And that's kind of what I was thinking of while I was talking to her. But yeah, it's fascinating to me that anybody would create their own movie. I mean, I highest respects for somebody that would go and do that, because it's such an undertaking. And I love hearing stories from indie filmmakers about the struggles and stuff they went to because you have to do it for the passion, because you're obviously not making any money off of it.
Right.
Not for your first movie. I mean, you're not making money. Even big time indie filmmakers barely break even if they're lucky. So it's really fascinating for me to hear people that have the passion for the genre to the point that they would go out there and do something like this. My hat's off to them. It's really impressive.
Yeah, no, and it's so funny because the way when she was telling us that, like a week before, she's literally like cooking these meals to have for her crew to make sure that she could have enough money to finish it, and we're kind of like saving money where she could. It's like, it almost is like those stories you hear when like a bride and a groom want the perfect wedding, and they'll go and they'll make stuff for themselves, and they'll get like family in to help out. And it seems like that's what she did to make sure that her film she wanted came through, and that just it's pretty cool. That's what's so fun about, I have to say, when we get interviews on the podcast, that definitely enhanced from our beginnings when we just would talk about the movie. But now when we get to talk about the movie and talk about the movie with the filmmaker, that just, to me, adds like this element. And I hope the listeners feel the same way, that it enhances the discussion of the film, because it really, like, it's eye-opening, and it's just adds this extra level that really is fun.
Yeah, it was great. So, you guys definitely go check out MARLA. Like Lisa said, you can see it on Prime, and I believe they have a DVD release coming out.
Yes, I think I saw the DVD listed on Amazon already. So, yeah, definitely take a look at it. Now, just if you're looking at it on IMDb, it's listed under Marla May, but it's the same film. But it actually, she was saying, I don't know if this was on the interview or she told us right before, but basically the distributor, I guess, had changed it, made some slight changes. That was really it. They just cut the title short to Marla. One-word titles are pretty interesting. A lot of people like that. I know my friend Paul, he was always a big fan of the one-word title when he could. Like all the student films that he did and that I helped him work on, all one-word titles. So it was great. And I think one-word titles are pretty. I mean, I know it was a name, so it technically could be counted as one word. But I think there's this, especially when you have a cool, like, just like that, like Marla. Like, if you see the poster and you see that name, and then they have a great tagline, which now in hindsight, I wish I would have brought up, because I really like the tagline when it says your first time with her will be your last, which kind of gives this ominous tone to something that's gonna. That goes on with her, and it's kind of a really cool, perfect tease. And so, so definitely, you guys got to check this out. I know this, we're always saying, oh, you got to check this movie out, but this one I definitely check out for sure, especially since, we want to really help promote this for Lisa. She works so hard on it, so it's like, really, let's really get it out there. I think I've shared it. I mean, of course, I'll share this stuff we'll share it on social media again, the links and everything. And, but yeah, definitely. Right. And you know what, shout her out. I know she said she doesn't do social media, but we were kind of teasing her that now she's going to get a lot. So let's prove us right.
Yeah. Support indie film.
Yes.
Cause, that's where the creativity comes in. And that's where the originality comes in. It's not coming from Hollywood, typically. It's coming from the indie people that are going out and just making stuff happen. So
exactly, yes.
Okay, Brian, so what did you do for our beer pairing this week for Marla?
So while the beer pairing, I have to say, maybe description of the beer doesn't match up quite to the movie, but I thought the title does. So it's called Doctor's Orders, and it's by Pitacola's Brewing Company. It's 10.5%, so it's pretty strong beer. It's an IPA. Okay, so here's the description. As a brewery that deeply cares about the happiness and general well-being of our customers, we decide to brew a beer that is not only satisfying to drink, but also provides an immediate mental health boost after one glass. Doctor's Order is our latest example of a big beer with a balance and our prescription for a good time. This Imperial IPA weighs in at 10.5% and features Azacca and Denali hops. Generous late kettle and dry hops additions bring out the big flavors and aromas associated with the two varieties. Peach and mango dominate the beer's profile, while tropical notes of pineapple and tangerine are present in the finish. The Doctor, this is about as long as your description of that one movie, I swear. The Doctor's light malt backbone and clean fermenting West Coast yeast provides a stage for the hops to shine. Enjoy Doctor's Orders responsibly. Side effects may include smiles, uncontrollable laughter, and loud conversations with the table next to you. Do not, I like that one, that's kind of funny. Do not drive or operate heavy machinery while taking Doctor's Orders.
Nice. I like that. I'm always a fan of any kind of, I know people say don't fruit my beer, but I do like the any kind of beer that has like a mango or a pineapple or tropical. I love that stuff. Yeah.
I love tropical IPAs. They're some of my favorites. So.
All right, so we've made you wait long enough on our triple threat from a couple weeks ago. This was where we were looking for an actor or actress, and we had some correct answers on this one. So good job, guys, that got this one. This was a very well written one, Brian, I'll have to say.
I know. I was very proud. This is probably one of my most proudest ones.
This one was great.
On this one.
So we were looking for an actor or actress, and the answer was Peter Cushing. Clue number 1, I have had well over 100 roles, and one was particularly grand. And of course, we were talking about Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, that Peter Cushing was probably, ironically, despite all the roles he's been in, most people probably know him best as Grand Moff Tarkin.
Right. At least our generation does, surely.
Clue number 2, I once played an antagonist to the Avengers, although I was not a supervillain. This was a very clever clue because we weren't talking about the Marvel Avengers, we were talking about the TV show The Avengers, because Peter Cushing played Paul Beresford in an episode of the TV show The Avengers. Clue number 3, while I had many a horror role, I turned down playing one of the most iconic horror characters. I, however, starred with the actor who took the role several times. So Peter turned down the iconic role of Dr. Sam Loomis from the Halloween franchise, which was of course played famously by Donald Pleasance. But Peter and Donald starred together in several films such as Beyond the Grave, which I watched for my horror movie challenge, Suspect, Flesh, and The Fiend, etc. So they worked together quite a bit. All right, so this week we are looking for a director, which is kind of unusual for us. So here are your clues. Listen carefully. Clue number 1, one of my most famous films has spawned several sequels, a remake, a TV series, and even a musical. Clue number 2, I have 2 family members in the industry as well. And clue number 3, while I had several actors and actresses appearing in many of my films, one of my most commonly used is a car.
Yeah, and so this is a softball. If any horror fan should know this one
right off the bat,
pretty quickly.
Without even doing a lot of research, you should be able to get this one.
Yeah, this one should be like a giveaway. But
all right, so it's time for our Zubmondo question of the week.
Yeah, after last week's revealing one where we know our friend Crystal from Horror Nights In secretly wants to dress as a banana all the time. Let's see if we get a little bit more horrific one this week.
All right.
You know, this one, last week was more comical. Let's hope to get a funny one.
Yeah, we may have to stop doing these randomly and just start picking them beforehand.
Yeah, I may have to do that, but for now we'll just keep doing it this way. So I'm gonna start spinning.
All right, and
the book.
Stop.
Oh wait, I got skipped. Wait, let me do it over. Okay, ready? Okay, I'm gonna start spinning this book now. Here we go, Tim.
And
Here we go. Okay, all right, I got a good one. All right, are you ready, Tim?
I am ready.
And I know based on a previous one, I know, Tim, you were going to have a nearly impossible time on this one.
Okay.
It is, would you rather drink half a cup of a stranger's saliva?
Oh, we're going back to this again?
Yeah, wait till the next one. Or eat all the hair out of your bathtub drain.
I would almost eat the hair. Because at least I know it's mostly mine.
Right, but like, how hard is it to eat hair? You can't eat hair. I mean, neither is pleasant. I'll tell you this. Now, granted, I like where you're going with that because yes, the hair in the shower most likely is going to be your own or a family member's, most likely, providing you don't go in the guest shower, right?
Right.
So you get that, and most of all, if you think about it this way, if you take a shower the right way, most likely it would be clean and soaped. So it would be clean hair. That's where I'm going with
I don't
this.
like to think about this one. I get very queasy with these kind of questions.
I know. But here's the bad thing is it's one of those things, as horrible that is, at least you kind of know what you're getting with the hair. So I agree with you in there, because imagine drinking a stranger's cup of saliva. You don't know where that stranger's been. You don't know what kind of disease he has.
The only thing I could say is if you could mix it with something. Like, if you had to drink it straight, I don't think I could do it. But if you could, like, mix it with some orange juice or something where you didn't know, really, maybe.
No.
Oh, gosh, it's making me gag just think about it.
And it's so funny. Let me give you the fact that they give you, as this makes it any easier. It says, just to rule one thing out, saliva is very unlikely source for infection with HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, of course, that causes AIDS. Although small amounts of HIV can be found in saliva, enough to test, so little virus is present that a human bite is not considered a significant risk for transmitting HIV. Now, okay, that's fine and dandy, but what else is in there?
Oh,
you don't want.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
See, that's why I couldn't.
You're not catching cat.
That's why I can't be on Survivor or any of those shows that have eating challenges. Like, I'd be done. One bite of something weird, and I would be completely weird. Done.
Oh, and just to give you one more little nugget to chew on, no pun intended, disease-causing bacteria most often enter your body through your mouth. So there you go.
Yeah.
And it says and also gives you the fact that human hair grows on an average of 26 feet in a lifetime.
Well, I'm going to ban any kind of drinking spit questions from here on out. Ugh,
okay.
Gross. All right, guys. Well, I hope you liked that episode. We will be back on that note.
Yeah. Good ending.
We'll back next week. I guess we'll do Haunt. Well, let's get that one knocked out. Let's come to a conclusion, a verdict on Haunt. So we'll be doing Haunt next week. You guys take care and go check out Marla or Marla May, whichever way you find it. It should be Marla, I think, as the official release now. And
yes, and I believe it's on video on demand, and it will be on. It's available on DVD now as of the 5th of it was on. So
all right, guys. So we'll see you back here next week, and we'll talk to you then.